Hello, my name is Johnstone. I'm the solicitor in charge of the firm. This is a short video to look at the impact on the coronavirus and the criminal prosecution system. There's been a number of changes that have taken place as a result of the Coronavirus Act 2020 that came into effect recently. And this is also having a knock-on effect to delays in the court system, both the magistrates' courts and the Crown courts. If you've been charged with a motoring offence, then most of those cases will be dealt with in the magistrates' court. So if you've been charged with an offence, or if you're currently under investigation for an offence, then the effect of the coronavirus might affect the outcome of your case. So it's important to take legal advice and consider how this could affect you. What's been issued recently, and this is a note that we've had come through to us from the Law Society Gazette, is that the prosecution service is now being encouraged to think carefully about the effect of COVID-19 and how that's going to affect any criminal case and how it affects their charging decision. Now, what that means is for any criminal matter that comes to court, then the prosecution service has to consider the charge, has to consider what offence you should be charged with and whether that matter should go to court. And that's particularly so with more serious cases. Now, when the police are considering charging you, they will normally go to the Crown Prosecution Service for a review, and a reviewing lawyer will then decide what offence, if any, you should be charged with. It is important at that stage for your solicitor to make representations to the Crown Prosecution Service reviewing lawyer to try to influence that charging decision. Because if we can, for example, we as solicitors can make representations on your behalf and we can convince the Crown Prosecution lawyer not to charge you, well, clearly that's a good outcome. Or if we could convince the Crown Prosecution Service to downgrade the charge, then that may be a good outcome for you. Depends on what you can live with. But if, for example, your main concern was to avoid a disqualification and you were charged with dangerous driving, well, dangerous driving would result in a disqualification if you were convicted. However, if we could convince the prosecution service to downgrade that to a careless driving, then a careless driving may result in penalty points only, and then you could carry on driving. So sometimes by some negotiation with the prosecution service can have a good effect on the outcome of your case. It also goes on to say that the majority of ongoing trials are stopped because of the problems with coronavirus and how that affects victims, witnesses, defendants, advocates, etc. And also the social distancing rules. Again, you can see straight away how that could affect your case. If witnesses do not attend court, whether it's social distancing, whether they're ill, if the worst thing happens and a witness has died, then that could have a profound effect on your case. And it may mean that your prosecution fails. It may never even get to court. It also, and perhaps of more of a concern for the prosecution service, and this could well have a great impact on any defendant waiting to be prosecuted. As it says here that the pandemic is expanding the pipeline of cases waiting to be heard, and case progression is likely to be delayed. Also, that each new case that enters the system will expand the pipeline and delay further. That's important because with the majority of motoring cases being what they call summary-only cases, the court has a time limit placed on them, or rather the police have, in that they've got to refer matters to court within a 6-month time period. So if there are delays, and that may be because of results from samples from labs, for example, it's a blood result or a urine result, there's going to be delays there. When the results go back to the police have then got to decide what they're doing. There may be delays there if there's people off work and everything is taking a lot longer. But that has to be referred to court within the 6-month time limit. Equally, when cases are then started, there's an expectation that's going to be brought to court fairly speedily. Now, if the courts are closed, that can't happen. And equally, the prosecution service has time limits imposed upon the prosecution service to make disclosure of evidence. Now, again, because of coronavirus, that may not happen. Now, in the past, we've certainly won cases just because of delays in the disclosure of evidence. And I see things getting a lot worse for the police and the prosecution service. So this is also talking about whether out-of-court disposals could be appropriate, and whether a guilty plea to some charges or less serious offences could be a way of disposing of the case. So an out-of-court disposal means that the prosecution may be looking to negotiate with defence representatives, and it actually says here, and where appropriate, they should engage with defence representatives. So the prosecution service are now actively seeking to engage with defence lawyers, people like myself, to decide, is there another way of dealing with your case? Is there a way of stopping it going to court? So clearly you need to negotiate with them and have your solicitor engage with the prosecution, with the police, to see if there's some way of avoiding a prosecution. And it also says that in less serious cases, it is right that we, as the prosecution service, consider all options when weighing up the right course of action. All options is just that. It's considering, is there another way of dealing with it without going formally through the prosecution system and the court system? And of course, if you don't go through the court system, you don't end up with a conviction. So take advice. If there's any questions, any queries, any concerns you have in relation to your own case, whatever stage you're at, then please get in touch with me, and I'll be always happy to go through things with you. Free telephone call. We never charge for our initial telephone calls. We'll spend time with you. And if you do want us to act on your case, the majority of those cases are carried out on a fixed fee basis. So you'll know exactly what the cost is at the outset. I look forward to hearing from you, and thank you very much for watching.